The board meeting for Tuesday, August the 6th, 2019 is officially called to order. At this time, we will have our Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Bud McInnes, and then our invocation by the Reverend Ted Stackpole.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you bow your heads with me, please? Heavenly Father, we open this meeting today knowing that in just a few days, our schools will be filled with children from all over our county. We thank you for compassionate, patient, and caring teachers and faculty. We ask on their behalf that this would be the best year yet.
Yes.
We also pray on behalf of the children. Would you give them a thirst to learn, a desire to serve, and a dream for their future?
Yes.
We believe in the educators and the children of Putnam County, and we believe that with your divine guidance, that 2019-20 will be the best year ever.
Yes.
In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, at this time, we will have our first presentation from NEFAC Risk Management. Mr. Kyle, is it Drawdy?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead. I do apologize. The presentation's a strong word. So
A strong word.
presentation's a strong word. Thank you. How y'all doing?
All righty, fine.
Thank
Yourself.
you, ma'am. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. I wanted to stop by. I am the new Director of Risk Management for NEFAC, and as Putnam County is our fiscal agent, it is one of the most, if not the most important relationships we have with the 13-member districts. So thank you for your time. What we do from a risk management perspective is what I feel obviously crucial to the success of the employees, the education, and the students. The information I've given you is just a quick brief of what importance and what services we offer, the rationale behind why we came together as 13 districts to self-insure for the majority of our coverages. If there's any time information I can ever answer for you, or any additional presentation on workplace safety, hiring and firing, anything like that that contribute to the success of the board and the county, I am more than happy to put it together for you. This was just more about putting a face with a name and answering any questions I could. I wanted to thank Dr. Cerency for, he is the president of the board of directors for NEFAC as well. And I wanted to thank Deborah Crowley back there for putting up with me on a daily basis. So, we handle your workers' compensation, student accident, and general liability, as well as auto. This morning we had some dual training with some bus drivers, and we had Stephen Tyler through Arthur Gallagher come in and give a presentation about bus driver and safety and things like that. We're always looking for ways to improve safety and to save cost. So again, anything I can ever do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's all I really wanted to say today.
That's a great presentation.
See, I was hoping you appreciated it. All right. Thank you all, and I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Kyle.
There's a number in here. If
No, ma'am, I'll
should we
leave some
have?
cards, and
Okay.
Deborah knows how to get in touch with you.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will have Putnam County School District Support for Teachers and Leaders for Continuous Improvement by Mr. Jonathan Hinkie.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So this is not just me, this is also Jennifer Rivera.
Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
And we coordinated today. We're both wearing similar shirts for this presentation. We want to update you on a few things. And so as we go through, we're going to use up the time that was left by Mr. Droughty. So just reflecting on the past year, we have a lot to celebrate, but just a few highlights in thinking about school and district improvement. Taking you back to last fall and thinking about Advance Ed and our accreditation, some of the things that came out of that, a system that's trending up. The team came here and found a caring family of educators whose mission was clearly about supporting students to be successful and responsible citizens, caring for the whole child and doing so. I think that's pretty phenomenal. And talked a little bit about us having the ability to have continuous improvement because of some of the things we have in place. As you know, we've been celebrating our increase in graduation rates, which came out in December. Celebrated this past summer by being recognized for that at the Jobs for America's Graduates conference in Orlando. And that's our team down there gaining some national recognition for the work we've been doing with graduation rates. Also in Orlando this past summer, Mosley Elementary was featured at the LSI National Conference for the work they've been doing. So another opportunity for our county to have some national recognition. When school grades came out in July, decrease in underperforming schools, we continue to make progress. We have 2 schools left. That is my personal goal for this year, to have 0. With the release of school grades, also we eliminated all turnaround schools. So for the first time in quite a while, all schools with a state-approved turnaround planned, a plan, whether it was district-managed turnaround or external operator, all of them exited. All of our traditional high schools now have a graduation rate above 67%. So we have no turnaround schools. It's very exciting.
Worth applauding.
E.H. Miller receives a school improvement rating. They received the highest rating this past year for commendable, and that's something that is we're also very proud of.
Yes.
We do have 2 traditional schools that are first-time Ds, but we get 1 year to get them off. And so with those 2 schools, we don't have to do a state plan or anything like that. So for the first time in a while, we have no state plans we need to write. And then also this year, we do have 8 schools that will be receiving new state funds for sustainability. That's the Turnaround School Supplemental Services Allocation, the TISA. You have been approving some things from that the past couple of board meetings. The actual plan is on the agenda for your approval this afternoon. And so as we start looking ahead to 2019-20, we are making some adjustments to our strategic plan based on our successes and some of the opportunities we have for growth related to district grade. So our areas of strength and improvement, and Ms. Jennifer Rivera is going to get into some of why this is shortly, but we do have some growth in ELA achievement and gains. Middle school acceleration continues to be an area of strength. Our graduation rate is also an area of strength. But there are a number of opportunities for growth, and that is what we are challenged with this year in improving. So really looking at math achievement and gains, and there are some things going into place for this school year to address some of that. Science achievement, social studies achievement has been rather stagnant the past few years, so we need to work there. And then college and career acceleration. The hard part about that cell in district grade is that it lags by a year, and you really have to put a lot of things in place in order for students across their 4 years of high school to be gaining their CTE certifications, their dual enrollment, their AP exams, those sorts of things. So that takes a while for that to really show up in data. Wanted to highlight just a couple of things. As you know, we've had a number of grants the past few years. So a couple of things went away at the turn of the fiscal year. So SIG 3 went away for Mosley Elementary. Last year they had $500,000, so that is ended. Schools for Hope at Miller Middle School also went away, so that grant has ended. So for this year, the extra things we have for school improvement are SIG 4 Year 3, which is at Mellon, Jenkins, and Palaca High. For this school year, that's $750,000 spread across those 3 schools. The schools that are first-time Ds, Mellon and Jenkins will get some Unisig funding. Putnam Virtual Franchise, while they earned a C and moved from an F to a C this past year, their graduation rate is still under 67, so they do have a little bit of money to help continue to focus on those cohorts of students in Putnam Virtual. And then the new school funding from the state for TISA, for those 8 schools, that is about $1.7 million across those 8 schools for this school year. So that's going into play. And so big picture before I turn it over to Jen is just thinking about some of our big district goals for this year. And there are lots of things, but this kind of encompasses a number of them. So we still want to become a B district. I keep saying we need to become one this year. And in order to do that, we have to increase the number of A and B schools. We had 2 schools that were just 3 percentage points away from that. So we have schools that are on the cusp of that. We are working to exceed the state's graduation rate, and depending on how the state does, we may do that this year in December when those rates are released. One of the things we are really trying to do as grant money slowly goes away, we're trying to maximize district and grant investments and make sure that we really spread that out to build organizational capacity and sustainability across our schools. So being very creative about that and thoughtful as we develop partnerships and spend that money.
Jonathan, what is organizational capacity?
So when you think about our district and we think about like our district staff, right? So building the capacity in our district directors, in our specialists, in our coaches, so that we can support that work at other schools that we support,
Okay.
as well as building capacity in some of our leaders, our up and coming assistant principals that may want to become principals someday, and looking at some of our coaches and our TOSAs and our deans who have aspirations to become school leaders eventually. And so starting to think about the work we've been doing, especially if we're thinking about some of the work we've done with LSI the past couple years at Miller and Mosley, how can we involve more people and develop the people that we know will be in our district, are committed to our district, and can have sustainability over time and lead some of that work after we stop paying for the services.
It never ends, you know. It's like one big pool. You throw a pebble in it, and there you've got the ripple's going to hit everything, and you just got to be ready. I know Rick's heard that before, but I think they've got it under control very well.
One of the things that we're also trying to do is really improve a few of our resources and programs and make some thoughtful decisions around that. And then increase targeted support for students and teachers. And so that is the thing that Jen's going to dive into. So I'm going to turn it over to her and let her talk more about that piece. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And anytime you hear the words Jen and talk more, you know I'm going to get passionate and excited, and I'm probably going to use too many words, so I'm going to try to be as concise as possible. Last year, when I first stood before you guys, I went back to this goal that you had in the PCSD strategic plan for Putnam County. And it's this goal that I've carried with me. I always tell our teachers, it's in my teacher pocket at the end of the day. It's the thing that keeps me going. And it's this goal about the single critical goal for our district is cultivating a learning community where students are engaged in learning, where they strive for excellence, and where they are supported to achieve. And I have become more so than ever a firm believer that you don't get there unless you do that exact same thing for your educators and your leaders. And this year we took on a big task of trying to revamp professional learning and a lot of the motivation and feelings and perceptions around professional learning and growth in our district. And we have a lot to celebrate. And so I'm going to, as quickly as possible, share with you a couple of the things that we've done throughout this past year. We started the year trying to prioritize the needs and looking at data and taking that data from data to knowledge to action. And so we found some priority areas that Jonathan kind of alluded to already have become success areas. And I firmly believe that it's because of the support that we've prioritized and intentionally provided to some of our teachers. And when you think about this idea of growing organizational capacity, it's not just about those who are coaches and who are leaders. It's also about growing the capacity of our teachers, our frontline people, right? The people who are sitting with our kids every day. And so in that shift in professional learning, we've changed the way that it is perceived, I think, this year pretty strongly from it's you go to this and get the knowledge to now it's more, that's half of the puzzle, right? The other half of the puzzle is you have to come back, try it out. That's where the real work begins, is in the implementation. And so we have poised all of our systems around supporting teachers when they come back to the classroom. And so this is just one example of one of the ways that we're doing that. We've created some structures for really monitoring and helping guide our coaching support. We have some phenomenal people on our team, and they are constantly adding data to this puzzle to say, here's where I spent my time, Here's who I was with. Here's how I supported them. And this is what I see as the impact of that, both from students and from teacher instructional behaviors. And so we're going to start with biology. Last year, this time, we took a look at biology numbers, and I'm going to highlight 2 schools specifically because the work of our very first cross-school community started with a couple of teachers in biology who were sitting in a meeting, looked at the data, and got excited and wanted some professional learning. And so they approached us and talked about what they would hope to see in professional learning, and they certainly shared with us what they hoped it wouldn't be. And so I like to think that we listened and served them well. We pulled them together in classrooms with students, and they spent their learning community days teaching one another, digging into standards, planning lessons together, and implementing those lessons with feedback from one another. I was there only to help structure those conversations. They really did the work of this community. And so there you can see a brand new teacher who volunteered her classroom along the way to have folks come in and give her feedback. And when you look at our biology scores, where I know we have some room to still grow, those teachers who took it on and volunteered their classrooms and got that feedback had phenomenal growth. And you're talking 2 veteran teachers from Palatka High School and 1 brand new and veteran teacher from Interlochen High School. So professional learning is really the key, and empowering our teachers to have some say in what that learning is and what it will look like is also a key to that success. Another area here, text-based writing. When I came in August and I started digging into ELA and looking at the what and the why of some of our scores, I found very troubling that last year in elementary we had 101 students who scored 0s or no scores on the FSA writing assessment. We had 116 secondary students who scored 0 or no score, which basically means they either copied word for word what they saw in the text, or they did not write. Those were the 2 most common things. So we took on an initiative for providing quality professional learning for teachers around text-based writing this year. We pulled teachers together all over the district, in Melrose, out in Crescent City, and here in the city. And we did some fun and exciting, we called it the FSA Writing Escape Room. And so we helped provide some PD that would not be seen as just a sit and get, but a fun way of experiencing what the expectations were. These are some of our amazing district administrators and a team from James A. Long who were very excited to be the winners of the breakout room. They had the fastest time. But you can see providing structures for teachers that aren't the traditional structures where they're just sitting, listening and getting, but really actively involved, are where it's at. They also went to Mosley Elementary and got to see teachers teaching using the things that they were learning in the PD. And this sparked a great momentum that you hopefully have heard or seen some things on Facebook about recently, with some text-based writing unit planning that began to happen across the district. As a direct result of some of that work, this is where we are this year. So we went from 101 zeros and no scores in elementary to 29, and in secondary 116 to 58. So we are definitely, we have some great momentum going in ELA that we will keep working for this year. And again, it goes back to, I'm a firm believer in the structures. Everybody from the teachers to the admin went through the writing rubric escape room sessions and participated in scoring scenarios. So it was very eye-opening for everybody. We had Vanessa Galnick, our amazing math specialist, lead some methodology learning communities with the help of some friends from the methodology group. And you can see, again, goes back to that supported model. She pulled teachers together. They were in classrooms looking at instruction, not just at the training center, but in the schools, planning together, watching what it looked like with kids. And these are some of the great results we saw from that really targeted, prioritized support.
Jennifer, can I ask a
Yes.
question? Are those the only schools that went through it, or?
So there were 2 additional schools, and they did not see the growth that we hoped to see, but the bulk of the schools did see that great growth. There are exceptions, of course, to every rule, and we have worked hard this year to try to target and pinpoint when it was a challenge and where we didn't see that growth, what could be the root cause of that. And so we're hoping, and hope is not a strategy, but the hope is driving us to action. I've got Dr. Suritzi who sits in my teacher pocket too. Hope is not a strategy, but that hope drives us to action. And so we've put a lot of things in place for the 1920 school year that I think will help us see those results across the board. Because we know when you look at the feedback from teachers about these PL events, they're so different than they were a couple of years ago in looking at their survey results. There's a definite excitement, and I know that many of you are on Facebook. If you look at Facebook and follow our hashtag on Facebook and Twitter, the Proud to Be PCSD, it's not uncommon to see teachers sitting in a PD session and feeling so motivated that they're sharing out with other folks in the district what they're learning, what they're doing, and what they're building. To me, I've worked in a lot of districts, had the great benefit of working with NEFEC for a couple of years and spent time in a lot of districts. When you have teachers who are the ones who are helping lead the PD, determine, and they're so motivated that they're posting and sharing with other teachers, you know something is going right. And when you see this kind of growth from students that directly correlates to that growth that you're seeing in your teachers, it's a pretty exciting day. So I'm excited for 1920, and hopefully we'll see more of this. And so we're on this quest for all students, all teachers, and all students. And we're not quite there yet, but we're making big moves. So I'd like to share with you just briefly a couple of highlights from our summer of learning. That's what I'm affectionately referring to it as. So in our summer of learning, we took our K-2 teachers and we worked with NEFEC and Flagler County and Putnam County, so a combined effort. And we went to Flagler County and we learned together. We trained a couple of our coaches and novice teacher mentors to be trainers of the teachers. And since then, I'm very excited to say we have teachers who have gone back and trained their faculties during pre-planning on some of what they learned at this institute. Again, building organizational capacity. But that institute really focused on foundational skills of reading, dyslexia, and their standards. And what we heard from them time and time again is, we haven't been a focus in a long time. And they were very excited to get to be, here's a few shots from that session, them teaching one another, them leading multisensory lessons for the group and getting feedback. This is one of she was a novice teacher mentor, now she's our K-2 coach for the district, leading a session of other coaches in the learning. Some of their feedback, when teachers leave you things like, I love this, and can you help with all of our PD? You know something has gone right. We also spent the summer, again in ELA, with 3rd through 8th grade teachers building out some more of the pilot units that we started the work with LSI as a partner with this year. So we continued that, and actually I'm excited to say this is them last year. We had a small group diligently working, creating, representing every school. This is a group of 4th and 5th grade teachers this morning at Palatka High School, because the work of those teachers, again, building capacity, they delivered to other teachers of the same content area across the district. And the feedback was unbelievable. It was just unbelievable. So I'm excited about the possibilities of that unit building work and what it can mean for the kids in our district, because it goes back to those text-based writing units that we saw such great growth with this year.
So this is going to be continued, like
Yes.
that group?
Yes, they will continue throughout. And the goal is to keep these communities going and add a few more that we know are priority areas for the coming year. So one community that didn't start till the end of this year was a social studies learning community for secondary. And so these are just a few shots from them. They spent March and April really digging into their standards, creating formative assessments, creating units together, and again, inviting the teachers into one another's classrooms. We spent one of our learning communities at Palatka High where all of their social studies department opened their doors to social studies teachers from around the district. And I've been here for a while and at secondary for a long time, and to have so many be so willing to share their practice is just, it's phenomenal. And lastly, we also, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our mathematics focus. I know we are not where we would like to be with mathematics, but we are moving in big and wonderful directions. We spent the summer with elementary teachers with Intel Math at James A. Long. They did 2 weeks of learning their standards in the high school, all the way up to high school standards, so their progressions. Again, our methodology group continued to work, and this summer we worked with secondary teachers, helping them gain the skills that our elementary teachers gained this year with text-based writing. The last thing I'll share, and then I'm going to hush, I'm done with words, is that our priority areas for this year, the 2 groups that we hope to add to our communities, are 5th grade science and 8th grade science. And so we are partnering with NEFAC to offer their brand of PD, NEFAC Connect, for our middle school science folks. And then we are going to do our Putnam County learning community with our 5th grade science folks. And we're hoping to host the first one at Browning Pierce in the fall. So lots of amazing things on the horizon in keeping with this in-classroom support. Part of the time in classroom, part of the time out, and supported throughout implementation.
Organizational capacity is essentially a new buzzword for instructional sustainability, and these firms that they contract with to help on some of this methodology and different things are the firms that they connect the data to that will sometimes go to District Instruction Magazine and all the curriculum magazines nationwide, and they're the ones that will propel you into national recognition when you make the right kind of achievement. So there's a lot of good to be done, and these people, man, you're like giving them new tools, and that's, you always do it
Did you or
good.
your department put together all these workshops this summer?
We have put together the bulk of them. It's really been a combined effort.
That's a lot of work.
It has been. It has been definitely a summer of learning for me and all of the teachers who've been on the journey with me, and the coaching team. I cannot say enough about the Office of School Improvement, the teaching and learning folks, and lots of our novice teacher mentors. This has certainly been a lot of work, but a lot of exciting work.
Sounds exciting.
The feedback, again, if you haven't taken a look in the last couple of days at the PCSD hashtag, the feedback
Where
from
do we do-
teachers
how do
and
we
the
do that?
excitement. Just on Facebook, if you look at the hashtag Proud to be PCSD and look at the different folks who've chimed in, it's been amazing to see so many teachers so excited about the support and the way that we have tried to hold them up and lift them up and really hold them as experts. So
We depend on you guys to keep the instructional program going and keeping our teachers prepared, and I think you're doing a good job.
And you're to be commended for doing it during the summer, wherein we're not pulling them out of the classroom during the regular school.
Well, the numbers kind of tell the story. I mean,
Yeah.
and congratulations, no more schools on the DA list, but that's not by accident. That's good instruction.
Intentional.
And I think the key is with these TESTA is continue that sustainability and don't backslide. So we're definitely keeping that momentum going. Yeah. Thank you both.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, seeing no more presentations at this time, we will go to our public hearing for amendment to policy number 5112, entrance requirements.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve amendment to policy 5112, entrance requirement.
A second.
Been moved by Mr. Buckles, second by Mrs. Pickens. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposers, none. Motion carries 5-0. Amendment to policy number 5500, student conduct.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment to this policy on student conduct.
I'll second it, but I wanted to say something before we vote. It's going to be irrelevant because I had the board attorney check on the phrase in the student conduct part where it says zero tolerance. Zero tolerance sounds good, but it paints boards in a corner.
Yeah.
We've got a situation today that we would be, you have to be very careful how you get into situations that require zero tolerance. I think the state made a bad move in putting that there. They could say the state doesn't tolerate or the board does not tolerate any behavior that's not conducive to learning instead of saying zero tolerance. It has never worked before, and it's not going to do anything but cause more kids to be challenged and put out of instructional opportunities than probably need to be, out of an abundance of caution due to the mass shootings and stuff we've seen. But having done that, I'm ready to let the chairman call for a vote unless somebody else wants to say anything.
Okay, and you did second it
I
with
second
that
it,
comment?
yes.
Okay, it was motion by
Didn't like it,
Mrs.
but the state's not going to change it.
Okay, it was motion by Mrs. Crawford, second by Mr. Buckles. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposers, hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Amendment to policy number 8330, student records.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve amendment to policy number 8330.
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Mr. McInnes, second by Mrs. Crawford. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries 5-0. Amendment to policy number 8405, school safety.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve amendment to policy 8405.
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Mrs. Pickens, second by Mr. Buckles. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposes, none. Motion carries 5-0. Amendment to policy number 8407, safe school officers.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve amendment to policy 8407 on safe school officers.
A second.
All right, motion by Mrs. Crawford, second by Mrs. Pickens. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposes, hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Final amendment to policy number 8420, emergency management, emergency preparedness, and emergency response agencies.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment to policy 8420 for emergency management or emergency preparedness and emergency response agencies.
Second it.
All right, motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. McInnes. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposes, hearing none, motion carries 5-0. Okay, at this time, public comments. All right, we have none, so we will now move into our consent agenda. The board and superintendent. We need to make a note that 2 items are being pulled from today's agenda. That's item E3, resolution support of Lift Putnam's grant request to the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners, and N3. All right, the review of the RFP for insurance bid, item removed from consideration.
I was curious, real quick, Mr. Hedstrom had a letter requesting something. We don't need to bring that up, Randy? Okay, all right. All right, Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the consent agenda minus the E3 and N3.
Well, I've got some to pull.
Okay.
And Ms. Crawford,
Yeah.
somebody else may have some items to pull, so I'll
All right,
just,
let's start with Mrs. Pickens.
Okay.
I don't have anything to pull.
Okay, Mr. Buckles?
Nothing.
All right, Mr. McInnes?
Nothing to pull.
All right,
I'd like
Mrs.
to pull
Crawford?
I-1.
I-1. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, and I don't have any to pull.
so
All right.
I'll rescind my motion and make a motion that we approve the consent agenda minus E3,
And
N3, and I1.
Okay,
A second.
all right, it's been motioned by Mr. Buckles that we approve the consent agenda minus item E3, N3, and I1. All in favor, let it be known by aye. Aye. Opposers, hearing none, motion carries 5-0 to, it was second by
Holly.
Mrs. Pickens, sorry. Okay, all right, Mrs. Crawford.
I just would like Jonathan to come up and give a little further explanation about the professional and technical services, TISSA, TSSA?
Yeah, he called it
TSSA? SSSA. If he would. Not sure I understand that.
Ms. Crawford, do you have questions about the NEFAC piece or TISA in general?
I guess TISSA in general.
Okay. So I1 is about using TISA and continuing to partner with NEFAC to support social studies. And that kind of plays off of what Jen talked about with the social studies learning community and gaining some outside expertise. If you haven't kind of picked up, we've been trying to utilize outside partners to help us in our improvement. And for social studies, we've been partnering with NEFAC to help guide us. So that's what I1 is about, using some of those additional days with NEFAC to provide support after the learning community when teachers get back to their school, since we don't have a social studies district specialist. Ryan Zimmerman, our science specialist, supports social studies, but it's nice to have a content expert in
So
social studies.
they have a group of employees at NEFAC that are social studies specialists, and we work with them to work with our teachers.
Yes.
Good people, great people.
Yeah, because we don't have a district specialist for social studies, so
Okay.
they provide some outside expertise.
All right.
Did you have other questions about TISA?
No, is there anything
Okay.
else you would like to expound on?
Not really. You approved I-5 on the consent agenda. I just want you to know that that is the actual plan for TISA. One of the requirements that the state put in place for those funds, they are state funds, but we have to submit an application that meets certain items. And so when you looked at that application, all of the schools that were getting funding had to meet all 6 items. And so in that application, we have to seek board approval and then submit that to the state. The superintendent will sign off and say that we have brought it to the board, that you approved what we want to spend that money on. We did meet with all of our principals. We've been working with them all summer long on how they want to spend those funds. And so you'll see some strategies that are at multiple schools. Some of them are very specific to school needs. So we've really tried to work with our principals to make sure that we built a plan that they wanted, that really actually met the data need and student need as well. So that plan will be submitted to the state for their approval.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan. I'd like to make a motion to approve item I-1 on the consent agenda.
I second.
All right, motion by Mrs. Crawford that we now approve item I-1 on the consent agenda, and second by Mrs. Holly Pickens. All in favor, let it be known by the word aye. Aye. Opposers, none. Motion carries 5-0. Okay? I didn't do it. We are now out of our regular session into emergency session, and we do have one item that is listed. That's additional summer hours for the 21st Century staff, July and August 2019. Justification, explanation, time sensitive.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the summer hours for 21st Century staff for July, August 2019, because it is time sensitive.
I second.
Okay, it's been motioned by Mr. Buckles, second by Mrs. Pickens. All in favor, let it be known by the word aye. Aye. Opposers, hearing none. Motion carries 5-0. We are now back into regular session. Okay, we have no unfinished business to discuss. On our agenda, we do have some new business, and we recall that item N3 was pulled. Okay, and so to advertise, is that you now, Mr. Attorney, for consensus to advertise amendment to policy number?
All right, District 1,
Advertise.
District 2,
Advertise.
District 3,
Advertise.
District 4,
Advertise.
District 5.
Advertise.
Okay. All right, item number 2, appointment of a board member to serve as alternate on the Putnam County Value Adjustment Board. I serve as the representative, and just in case there are times that I would not be able to attend a meeting, do we have any nominations?
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Bud McInnes to be the alternative to you when you can't be there.
Okay, any other motions, or you want to close on the said name?
Anybody else can do that. He won't have to go.
I think they only meet like twice a year.
Meeting twice a year, and we're meeting the 15th of this month. And it's a great eye-opener. All right, and so we were closed on the said name. So all in favor of having Mrs. McInnes as the alternate, let it be known by the word aye. Aye. Opposes? None. Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Bud McInnes, yes.
I probably
Who
didn't have
did?
a second.
I'll second it.
You did?
You did, or you're doing it
Doing
now?
it right
Don't
now.
lie.
Okay, call for the vote.
I'm doing it right
Out of
now.
abundance of caution, call
So
for the
it's
vote.
been seconded by Mrs. Crawford. It was motion by
Motion by
Mr.
me.
Buckles. And then we'll do the vote over again so that it would count. We're gonna do this thing right, Mr. Attorney. So, all in favor of Mr. Bud McInnes serving as the alternate on the Value Adjustment Board, let it be known by the word aye. Aye. Opposes?
Wait, I didn't get to say aye. Aye.
The majority ruled anyway, so it was a,
Bud distracted
All
me.
right, okay.
well, he
All right.
has a lot of experience on property values.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so, motion carries with the late aye, 5-0.
Late eye, the droopy eye,
Lazy eye.
the lazy eye. There you go.
Okay, item number 4, discussion, input, and action, hiring of outside attorney to represent the board in reviewing the insurance bid, and this is per request of our board attorney, am I correct?
I believe it was.
Well,
Actually, the board attorney recused himself.
Right.
And actually, this is upon request of one of the board members.
I requested it.
And I have a copy, I want to,
To pull the RFP bid?
No, we're on item number 4.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, and I can explain this. So can I pass these down to you? And Charlie, if you,
Oh, okay,
Charlie,
I
you
know
keep
what
one?
we're- okay,
Let
I'm-
Charlie keep one.
And that will help him to feel comfortable. because he
Rumberger,
did
Kirk,
not
and
want to be
Caldwell.
part of it anyway.
I was asking Mr. Buckles, suggested to me that since our board attorney recused himself, it would be out of an abundance of caution to let legal counsel representing the board review the RFP going out for the group health insurance, as well as the superintendent's attorney. And again, we want to make sure that everything is in order and respecting our board attorney's right of recusal. So we're just protecting the board to make sure everything goes as planned. And if there is any problem with the procurement process, we'll have legal counsel there to protect us.
And
So
that's a
what-
wise move.
Right, and I've actually contacted the FAD's attorney, Joy Frank, and she gave me a list of 5 that are out of town legal firms. And I think most of them were from Tallahassee. 3 of them responded, and I asked them, number 1, is this an area that your firm does? And if so, what would be your cost, hourly or flat rate? And you have that in front of you. So,
Haven't we used Leonard Dietzen before?
yes.
Well, Carlton and Field, that may not be who they submit to utilize out of the firm, but Leonard Dietzen is a very well-known attorney out of Tallahassee, but all these firms do a lot of work for the state. I didn't care for the flat fee of $8,500 and the $350 an hour from the Carlton
Yeah, I
and
think we
Field
can
firm.
strike that one.
And I just had a little more concern about.
Sandy Scranton's here if you had
Market
any
cost.
questions at all about the
now-
process or anything.
All right, my question is this: are we going to move on this today, or is this FYI?
sooner the better.
Or we need to go ahead
Yeah, I
and
think
act today?
I actually,
So
we
then-
put it under discussion, input, action for a vote,
Okay, so then,
so that we can go ahead and contact legal
Mr. Scranton,
counsel
if you'll come on.
and give them a copy of the RFP. And we delayed the RFP being sent out until we had counsel review that. So as soon as we do that, then we will send that out, and Sandy can speak to that as well.
Okay. All right.
Just going through them, I'm more comfortable with Rumberger, Kirk, and Caldwell, although they'd never, to my knowledge, Leonard Dietzen or none of the firm have personally represented me. And
you.
yeah, as a person, but I've known them, and I'm just a little concerned about the group out of Orange County, but they're all good, no doubt.
Why are you concerned about them?
Well, I just like somebody that's in Tallahassee to save the legwork.
Well, and somebody y'all are familiar with, Rick knows Mr. Dietzen or knows of that firm, and you do as well.
Well, and
If you would give recommendation, I'm fine with that.
that's
And for Fats to have given him
Joyce-
these names,
yeah,
then
Joyce
we can
Wright.
tell from that alone that they're
Yeah, these have been
possibly
vetted.
reputable.
Yeah, they're-
And so we then
They've
want some
represented the
guidance.
Superintendent's Association and School Board Association. They are recommended all the time to work with
Yeah.
school boards
Yeah,
all over
Leonard
the state
Deason
of
is
Florida.
contracted through NEFAC.
I'm a little partial to anything that comes out of Tallahassee.
Yeah, me too, except football. Go ahead.
I will follow your direction and submit the RFP to whichever attorney you select.
I think given the nature of what we're dealing with and the amount of this bid, I believe it would be a wonderful thing to do, and I think it's very necessary, and it removes the superintendent from this process, and it should be the board's decision. So I'd like to make a motion that we
Beat me to it.
we accept the bid from Rumberger, Kirk, and Caldwell.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all right, it's been motioned by Mr. Buckles that we accept the bid coming from Rumberger, Kirk, and Caldwell, and it was seconded by Mrs. Crawford. All in favor, let it be known by the word aye. Aye. Opposed, hearing none, motion carries 5-0 that we will go with this firm, and if you will take it from there, we're good.
I'll email it over to them and ask them to expedite it so we can
They
get
will
this
know what to
posted.
do.
And this is what it's all about. People having information to help others.
And
so that down the
transparency.
road, transparency is where I'm headed. Down the road, no one can accuse us of having done anything underhandedly or anything of that nature. And I think our attorney is second to none in going about this the way that he
Well, the good
did.
news is we're ahead of the game time-wise right now.
Yeah.
And we have time to do this, so I think it's a very prudent thing to do. So,
Right. All right.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Can I ask, it's not directly related to selecting an attorney, but how long is this process normally take? We open it
Once
for
it's on the
bids?
street,
Not long.
just about a month, I'll leave it
30
on the
days.
street. And then the
Well-
insurance committee will review it, and then it'll come back to the board
Make a
with their recommendation.
Yeah.
Because I remember just before I was elected, the first time was when we did it the last time, I think. And
That's about right. It's been about,
we have a special
Yes.
meeting to hear from the,
That's right.
okay.
so,
So hopefully, if they will respond pretty quick. As soon as they say that we have a finished product, which right now, it just needs to be verified by an attorney.
These are all good firms, but
Well, we've
And
selected
you've
one, so we're ready to
you've had
go.
I've
some dealings with them.
I've
So that's-
had
we
never
trust
heard
you.
a negative comment from Rumberger, Kirk, and Caldwell.
Well, we feel like we have a finished document. We just have to have it
Yeah.
reviewed.
Yeah.
And then we can make any changes quickly and then post it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Sandy.
again, Mrs. Scranton. Okay. We are now finished with our new business. We will now have our reports coming from the various board members. We'll start with you, Mrs. Pickens, and we will move to your right.
I would just like to say how well-received the people that have gotten the certificates for 20-plus years. It's been extremely well-received. I've had the extreme pleasure of being motivated several times the last couple of days by our Madam Chair. She is, she makes you excited, and
She's a
she
ball of
really
fire.
has built up all of the teachers that received the awards, and really the ones that have just actually heard her speak. and I had the unfortunate task of following her one day.
Me too, and I didn't know I was going to have to.
That would be bad.
That was a little bit tough, but I'm excited about our school year. I loved Jonathan and Jennifer's report. It makes you just feel like we're really, really headed in the right direction, and we have excellent people in high-up positions that are making decisions for us. I also, Ms. Gilliard and I went to Mosley. She did dance in the street. I kind of acted like I was and then
about a
wandered
half a
off to the side. But what a great celebration that was. It was fun, well attended, and I'm just excited about this year.
Thank you, Mr. Pickens.
Wonderful.
Mr. Buckles?
I've got a few items. Number one, I'd like to mention that I went to the funeral of longtime school secretary Phyllis Hinkle from Browning Pierce for 34 or 5 years. And she was a dear, sweet lady and one of the finest secretaries you could ever meet. And I was asked to speak by her daughter during the service. And you know, I told the people there, and one of them was a guy that writes letters to the editor all the time, and he was there. I said, you can't predict what will happen in a school. And this lady endured all the years of what walks through that door, whether it's somebody with a gun on their hip or cursing, or somebody bringing a basket of candy or flowers that, you never know. And she served us well, and I look back at some of the wonderful things that she did over the years, and she certainly did a lot of wonderful things. So I wanted to let you know that that we were well represented. There were quite a few teachers and staff, former Browning Pierce staff as well as current. So anyway, beyond that, I did not care for the zero tolerance phrase, but that's not something we can control. But it's like a situation Mr. Hedstrom had today. You get in situations where you can help a child make a decision if you feel comfortable in doing, but when the state involves that kind of, or invokes that kind of language, it's hard to find loopholes that enable you to really help a child that can be helped if you feel like you can do that. Given the climate of mass shootings and stupid things that are going on in our world, I understand why they did it. Next thing is we pulled an item for consideration today that would have been for Lift Putnam, a letter of support.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, I think they need time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got folks that have really created a lot of problems unnecessarily for Lift Putnam because they feel they're uncomfortable with it. This is something we've never had as a standalone foundation in Putnam County that other counties across Florida that are considered more progressive have. And they already have them. And so every step of the way, there was a public records request, I was told the other day, to see if poor Mr. Paget had ever sold fruit or how much fruit he sold the school system. And as far as I know, he's never sold fruit. But it never ends. And this is one reason we're sitting here today with having to go outside for counsel from the board attorney. And I won't get into any more questions about that. But kids are being hurt because of a handful of people that are showing up at county commission meetings and they're asking questions about things that they really don't know what they're talking about. And it's a shame and it's sad, and I hate to see children hurt. I picked up the Quint Studer book that everybody's thumping around Putnam County and it's been passed out everywhere, from county commission to school board. And I was looking through it the other night at the education part, and the first thing that popped out was what we need to do for pre-K children and what happens. And I was fortunate enough to get Mr. Paget on the phone a day or so ago and talk to him about vision checks and parenting packets to the hospital to go home so new parents will know how important it is to read to their baby. Things like that are so important, but people are making it out to be something that it's not, and it's for a variety of purposes that weren't intended to they were malicious in one way that has wound up hurting children, and it's caused this thing to kind of stumble. And I know when we wrote a vision plan at the district for the county commission years ago, when they passed the Better Place plan, some of these things, from dental health to parenting packets to vision checks to, everything, to pave roads where you can get emergency rescue personnel close to neighborhoods and homes like Hoot Owl Ridge or Whispering Pines or Interlochen Lake Estates. It doesn't matter where you go. We've got large rural subdivisions, but it's very important. So I wanted to mention that. And the last is I received a call today from Jason Matchett. I've reported it to the superintendent. He has been having and trying to coordinate father-daughter dances, and he's trying to coordinate one at Interlochen High. I did not ask him when this was coming, but and the right thing to do is the school did say that they might have to bear the cost of insurance to host it, but I just wanted to see if maybe we could ask the superintendent, who is already going to look at this, and seeing if there's some way that we can know if they have law enforcement. Would that suffice? And you maybe talk to the board attorney and
Yeah, we'll check on that.
just check on it for me, okay?
Glad to.
And I've got his number if you want to call him back.
Mhm.
And that pretty much concludes my questions.
All right, thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Buckles. Mr. McInnes?
Yeah, we took that.
I'll echo what Ms. Pickens said about going around to the schools, as being well received, and being the math guy, I just add up the years of service, and you calculate that to the years of training, and it's just amazing what just Melrose alone's like over 520 years of service for the employees that we recognized, and it's just astounding to me. And going to some of these schools, there's a lot of people that I don't know. There's a lot of new people in our system. Did have the pleasure of assisting with the summer reading enrichment at IES, and it was a pleasure working with Ms. Parcher and Ms. Maynard, Ms. Wiley, and Ms. Cox, and we were all fed. Ms. Vega was there, and we had a resource officer as well, and wish those students well. And I just welcome everybody back and hope for a great year.
Thank you.
Welcome back to
Mrs. Crawford?
I'm very glad to be back after 6 weeks of taking care of my most brilliant, precious grandson in New York. I do miss him, but I'm very excited to be back and hit the ground running. I'm so excited about this school year, especially after I saw Jonathan and Jennifer's presentation about what our teachers have been involved in over the summer. Exciting things are happening in Putnam County, and they just keep getting better and better. The pictures I saw of the new teacher orientation, wow, it kind of made me want to come down here and be a new teacher. It looked like it was just fabulous, and I appreciate everyone who was involved in putting that together. Dr. Surrency and I were at a breakfast for Palatka High School yesterday morning at First Baptist Church. And one of the teachers that was recruited to come here, she spent a good 10 minutes praising our HR department and how wonderful it has been working with them, that she had worked in several different counties in the state of Florida, and that none of them could compare to our Human Resources Department, and how seamless it was. And she mentioned several names, and I've spoken to a couple of them, but thank you, Tanya, for that. It's just wonderful to hear that kind of praise. I was able to go to Palatka High School with Ms. Gilliard to present their 20-plus year certificates, and there were a lot of them. And I had worked with all of them. They really appreciated that. I was trying to think. I was there for 33 years, or worked in the system for 33 years, and I don't remember ever, receiving something like that. And pats on the back mean more as a teacher, mean a lot. And so I'm glad we've done that. I just have so much pride in this district. Every time I look on Facebook or turn around, we're doing something else that's wonderful here. And I'm especially proud. I'm proud of all our schools, but especially of Mosley. How hard they've worked, what they've been through, what the kids have done, what the teachers have done, what the staff has done. They've worked so hard, and it's just the recognition that they've gotten is just brilliant. And I think we're going to see more of that in the coming years. And I think that 2019-20 is going to be the best yet. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Crawford. PALS, the Police Athletic League will have a giveaway this evening from 6 to 8 at the Booker Lefty Turner Park. I think that's 10th Street. If not, just look for the police officers. They will be giving away items. And the great part about it is that they have pulled together organizations, sororities, fraternities, agencies from throughout the county. Our sorority will be participating with them along with others. So they're just going to be an abundance of school supplies for our students. So we want them to come. So hopefully somebody will get the word out. VFW, I met one of Mrs. French that drove bus forever and a day for Putnam County. I met her at Walmart last week, and she wanted to make sure that we told all the teachers that Thursday, that's this coming Thursday, from 12 to 5, any teacher in Putnam County can go and get school supplies so that no kid will be without school supplies. And that's going to be from 12 to 5. The VFW right here, what is that, 100 and
100
Palm Avenue?
Palm Avenue.
Yes, 100 and Palm.
Okay,
Yes,
where they have the turkey shoots.
yes. I too want
thought they were
to
killing turkeys back there.
voice what Mrs. Pickens mentioned about Mosley dancing in the street. I made their presentation on yesterday, and I tell you the energy in that room. They were given breakfast by Trinity, and Trinity is one of the churches that has adopted that school. But I'm telling you, I told them they had enough energy in there to put Florida Power and Light out of business. They were just buzzing. They were excited and ready to go, and so we commended them on that. Mrs. Cahan, we want to ask you, I see Palatka Daily News is not here, but certainly we'd like to get you those pictures of the groups taking their holding their certificates. And to Mrs. Carmody, thank you immensely for everything that you have done. We want it on the district website so that people will hit it right off the bat. Thank you for all of your hard work in pulling this together. Mrs. Whitehurst, again, I'll thank you publicly. I thank you and to your entire staff. Thank you. This could not have happened, and I want to thank Mrs. Pickens for meeting and coming up with the great idea. Since we couldn't do it on the big scale like we thought, the way that you helped to say that we could get this done, it did work, and thank you to all of you. And so I'll get those pictures to Felicia, and she'll be able to do something on our website, and I'm going to get with Palatka Daily News. This is newsworthy. I mean, they're covering all those other things. They need to do this. And the 20-plus program, we've already had people approaching us. I'll be in it next year. I mean, this is what they're saying. And
So
before
we'll
we
just
can
do
get
the
out
new
of the
ones
school,
next year, right?
Yes,
The new ones?
yes. Before we could get out of the schools, they're texting us saying thank you. And so again, it is something worthwhile. So, Mr. Attorney.
Everything is going well in the legal department.
All right, sir. Mr.
Done?
Superintendent.
Sorry, I was talking on the side here. I want to echo what you said about the 20-year thing. A lot of work went on with that. I actually walked in and Ms. Carmody, Ms. Garcia were having a party where they were putting them in the folders for you. So that was a pretty labor-intensive process. And thanks to Jackie from HR for, doing the back work on getting all the names together and everything she did. And also, I know some people have asked questions. If you're in a department, I don't believe we've delivered those to departments yet, 20-plus year employees. But
No, we said we'll get the schools first. I think
Right.
that's what the committee,
Hold on.
so if you haven't got one yet, just stand by. We'll get them to you. or y'all will get them to them.
Yes.
And we did have people that said, I was left off.
Yeah.
You know, they wanted it. So we said, we'll arrange something later for them to possibly come before the board and we make theirs if it,
Yeah.
you know, we inadvertently.
Yeah, we can go
left
back
them
and
off.
fix it.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thank you.
Just a couple things I want to mention. We're talking about some of the donations, but we've had a number of organizations in our community that have stepped up, as they always do, and helped out, like with the backpack donations. I know 91.3 and help me out if I miss somebody, but there are some organizations that have put together backpacks. I actually was doing a radio show there today, and there is a mountain in there of backpacks.
Wonderful.
And they're going to be delivering those for our kids. So our kids won't start off
No
without
excuse.
something,
Empty-handed.
without something to
Right.
help them. We also have shout out to Beck Chevrolet, Wayne McLean, and actually Wayne McLean is going to be bringing a truck out here Friday with a truckload of teacher supplies.
Wow.
And we're going to unload that, and Felicia's kind of organizing that, but we're going to
It's gonna be a mad dash to get them.
we're gonna keep it under lock and key until the principals come pick it up. But our new teachers, they're starting off the year not a lot of stuff, and our older teachers, they kind of stockpile stuff.
511 funds, they dwindled every year.
So anyway, thanks to all those people, and we are going to be thanking formally all the people who contributed to the New Teacher Institute, and that was phenomenal. We had 54 teachers, I believe, and just to walk in there, you talking about some energy now? They were buzzing, and that was a good sign. So hats off to HR for
I
doing
saw one teacher said she wished it could have been longer.
it. Yeah, yeah.
They
Good
must have
food, good
loved it.
fellowship. Yeah. But thanks, Miss Whitehurst, for putting that together. That's getting better and better. I went by Palaca High today, and Miss Ashley McCool, she's our administrator on special assignment, and one of her jobs is organizing and implementing the distance learning project. As you know, we had a $400,000 grant and to buy equipment to put in all 4 of our high schools, so we could have one teacher in school A teaching a class and students in school B
Awesome.
getting direct instruction off the video. And I was amazed by the clarity on that TV. I mean, I told somebody today, I wish I could watch football games off that. It's really good TV. But I mean, the voice, they have a mic mounted, and it's just so many bells and whistles, but they were teaching the teachers and the instructional assistants how to do that.
Do we have any classes in mind yet that will be?
Oh, they're ready to hit the ground. Can you tell us which classes? I know Renee, you were there.
Yes, sir.
Which classes are we starting off?
At the moment, we have, for our collegiate high school, we'll have Comp 1 and college algebra.
But one of our own campus teachers will be teaching it?
Yes, for
Okay.
Comp 1, we have our own campus teacher, but for the college algebra, we have a college teacher.
That is
So,
awesome.
And then we have our principals of public service, 4 sections at Interlaken and 4 sections at Palaca. And our new teacher will be teaching those classes via the distance learning. And then we have a class at QI Roberts and Crescent City. They'll be teaching a
So
class.
they can collaborate with their Cambridge classes.
Yay, that's awesome.
And we can, we're talking about
Hey.
PD. We can do
Growing and
PD with that
glowing.
without teachers even having to leave the campus. So that's,
We're getting up with a modern age,
heck
aren't
yeah,
we?
heck yeah.
Well, this is what Daggett, it started on
Oh,
years
Lord,
back.
he's still around?
But I mean, his stuff is finally coming to fruition a little quicker,
And kids today, this is the way they learn. I mean,
Yeah.
they're a
Yeah.
little different from us, but anyway, good stuff going on. And last thing I'm gonna mention is, without Ms. Crawford crying, is our building dedication for Mr. Thomas will be August 27th, and you should be getting an invitation, but I'm just reminding you now at 9 a.m. at the Thomas Center for
Still call it
Workforce
Mosley.
Development. The old Mosley.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's gonna be 9 o'clock, and we'll be having invitations. We've invited all the former superintendents who are still with us, and a number of people we're inviting. But I encourage you to be there. Miss Crawford will have a few comments, and it
I'll
should be.
cry if y'all aren't there.
Cry
Anyway, it's gonna be a
regardless of
good
where
day,
we
so
are.
invite y'all to come out, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay?
Bless your heart.
Is there anything else to come before the board? If not, we declare we adjourn.